Meeting to order. These are the City of Gainesville Code Enforcement Special Magistrate hearings for August the 13th, 2023. My name is Jefferson Braswell, and I've been appointed as Special Magistrate pursuant to Chapter 162 Florida statutes to hear code enforcement matters brought by the City of Gainesville. Pursuant to Chapter 162, those of you charged with violating a provision of the City of Gainesville Code of Ordinances are entitled to a quasi-judicial hearing in a formal adjudicatory hearing to determine if a violation exists, to determine if you have a defense to the violation, and ultimately, if you are determined to be guilty of violating an ordinance, I will impose a penalty upon you in accordance with applicable law. The maximum penalty that I can impose is a fine of $1,000 per day. As part of the adjudicatory hearing process, you are entitled to specific rights, which are not necessarily limited to the following. You are entitled to hear the charges against you and to see and hear the evidence against you. You are entitled to have the right to testify on your own behalf. You have a right to cross-examine and question those that testify against you. You have a right to call your own witnesses. I will, at my discretion, be applying the Florida Rules of Evidence in my decisions. What I want to do is swear in the officers that will be testifying, and then those of you that come forward to testify, I'll swear you in when you get to the dais. So all the officers, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth? Thank you. We are starting the agenda. It's out of order on my page. It's the last item. This is a foreclosure item on Special Magistrate number 2018-083R. It's in reference to 4105 Northwest 22nd LLC. And this is a foreclosure action, as I understand it.
Good morning. So this is Special Magistrate Case 2018.
Please state, you guys state your name for the record.
Sorry, I'm Supervisor Samantha Norris.
All right.
And I'm Attorney Catherine Moakler for the city.
Magistrate Case number 2018-083R. This is a request for determination of fines and to request foreclosure on property 4105 Northwest 22nd Drive. And again, this case will be presented to you by myself and Ms. Moakler. Parcel number 07915-012-006. Owner is 4105 Northwest 22nd LLC. And the property zoning is RSF, and ownership was established by Public Records and Documents. That's where it's located. This is a hearing to request for determinations of fines and a request for foreclosure. Since the hearing on January 13th, 2022, the property has not been brought into compliance, and fines have continued to accrue at $100 per day. The ordinance being brought before you is Section 2-388.1. And in the red there, sir, it says, after 3 months from the filing of any such lien which remains unpaid, the board may authorize the city attorney to foreclose on the lien or liens, or to
Sue to recover.
Sorry, I can't see that far. Sue to recover the money judgment for the amount of the lien accrued interest, or the city may authorize a collection agency to enforce and collect upon the fines.
Okay.
This is a repeat violation established. Fines were running since 6/15/18. Request for determination of fines, request to amend order, and request for hearing was made on 12/16/21. Service was achieved by posting the property, City Hall, and first-class mail and certified mail on 12/16/21. Request for determination of fines, request to amend order, heard and approved by you, sir, on January 13th, 2022. Request for determination of fines and request foreclosure service achieved by posting first and certified mail on March 24th, 2023. The certified mail was sent out on March 27th, 2023. This photograph was taken back on 6/15 of 18 by Officer Lori Podolsky. And this is just an overview of the front from the city right-of-way. Again, another photograph, 6/15/18 by Officer Podolsky. Another photograph, sir, 6/15/18. This photograph on 7/19 of 2018 was taken by Officer Podolsky. Another photograph, 7/19/18. Another photograph, 12/11/19. This photo was copied from a Florida Alligator article titled Gainesville Neighbors City Enforcement Struggle. Another photograph of 11/30 of 21 taken by Supervisor Nicole Lardner. Again, another photograph of 11:30 of 21. Photograph of 12/15 of 21 taken by Manager Pete Backhouse. Another photograph, 1/12 of 22, taken by Mr. Backhouse. This photograph was taken by myself on 3/24 of 23. Another photograph from myself, 3/24 of 23. Again, another photograph, sir, 3/24 of 23. And this photograph was taken yesterday by myself, 4/12 of 23. And again, another 4/12 of 23. The staff recommendations in this case recognize that fines have continued to accrue for an additional 455 days from the last hearing, raising the accumulated amount to $176,300 plus administrative costs of $127,18. Find that the property remains out of compliance and authorize the city attorney's office to foreclose the liens and recover a deficiency judgment, if any. And I have a packet to enter on the record, sir.
Is that the evidentiary record?
Yes, sir.
There was a reference in the presentation to some type of petition or notice or something that was filed, I guess, with code enforcement to bring this forward. I'm not sure I've seen that. Some type of charging document,
Yes,
initiating document.
yes. So that is included in your pocket that I have.
It is in here?
Yes, sir, but I'm going to do this right here.
Well, so this is Exhibit 1, I'm going to call it. All right. Ms. Moakler, you have something?
I just wanted to add that there are two liens. One is from 2017 and the other is this one that was presented today from 2018 that we are seeking to foreclose.
Oh, so I did both of those?
Yes, and I believe that those are included in the packet.
And those are in here too. Okay, let me take a look at those. And so, do you have a proposed order or something?
I do, however, I left it upstairs. I accidentally grabbed the wrong folder.
Okay.
That should be included in your packet as well, sir. And I believe I have an extra one here. I can pull these real fast.
I think I have it right here. I just want to kind of go over this in case I have any questions for you, Ms. Moakler.
That's it. This is the one ready for you to look at, sir. It's included in your packet.
Okay. So in paragraph number 5, it says the fine of $100 per day continues to accrue as long as the property is not in compliance. Is it, just questioning, should it read that the fine of $100 per day has accrued? And
We would have no objections to changing that.
I'm just wondering if, is this going to stop the fines from accruing, or is it going to continue to accrue?
I believe it
once
continues to accrue,
It continues.
even after today.
So I'm calculating, in effect, this order calculates the amount as of today's date. We enter it in here, and it continues to accrue after that.
Yes.
Okay. And so the only language that I see related to the foreclosure is paragraph number 7, which states that the city attorney is authorized to foreclose the lien on the property and recover a deficiency judgment, if any. I'm thinking that should state the amount. Well, at what point does the city calculate the final judgment amount so that it goes into an order? It seems like to me you would need that. So somebody would need to say, the current lien. Well, I guess you do, as of April 13th, 2023, the amount of the fine. So the city attorney is authorized to foreclose the lien in the amount of $176,300, plus interest. Are there
don't believe
attorney's
there's
fees at
interest.
issue?
No.
So plus any interest and additional fines that accrue between the entry of the order and any court judgment foreclosing the property?
That is a good suggestion, and I can add that.
And I think after that, I just want to make sure that when it goes over to the courthouse, you guys file suit on it, that it has the language necessary to make sure that the court understands what we've done here. So let's do this. Okay, so you need a ruling from me, and then we can finalize the order later.
Very good.
Okay. So my ruling then is going to be, I'm going to, taking into consideration what we've discussed, I will consider that part of the ruling as far as the additional language. Recognize that the fines have continued to accrue on, I guess, both of the final orders, the special magistrate orders earlier, from the last hearing, raising the accumulated amount as of today to $176,300, plus the administrative cost of $127.18. I'm going to find that the property remains out of compliance and authorize the city attorney's office to foreclose the liens and recover a deficiency judgment, if any, and we will adjust some of the language in the order pursuant to this ruling. Okay?
Very good, thank you.
So, and I'll work on that when I get back to my office.
Okay, thank you so much.
Is that good, do you think?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Pardon me? Okay, so yes. Number 2 is, second on the agenda this morning, is Special Magistrate number 2023-008, and that is City of Gainesville, and 22-17072. No, excuse me. Strike that. Special Magistrate number 2023-008, City of Gainesville versus Gainesville Gators Tobacco, Inc. And Mr. Ward, Officer Ward, you can proceed.
Good morning. Rick Ward, City of Gainesville Code Enforcement Officer. This case that I'm presenting this morning is a little bit unique. It involves two addresses, two separate parcels, one business, and one property owner. The parcels are side by side, and the business encompasses both parcels.
Okay.
And so we elected to try to go with one case so that we didn't have we wouldn't get confused with the fines or trying to break down what violations are occurring on which parcel. And so that's why I'm presenting it as one case. So the case this morning is, address is 514 North Main Street and 519 Northwest First Street, investigated by myself. Oh. There we go. Property information, parcel numbers 14159-000-000. Second parcel number is 14158-000-000. Owner is Gainesville Gators Tobacco, Inc. Property zoning is downtown. Ownership established by researching official documents and public records. The property in question is, let's see, this is Main Street looking north. This property, kind of outlined, is the two separate parcels. This would be 14158, 14159.
Okay, hold on. Okay.
This would be Friends of the Library.
Okay.
Okay.
I got you.
Lebowski Pup Pub is the business that's operating out off of this property. Ordinance violated is 30-1.8, compliance with the chapter. It shall be unlawful for any person to make or any use of any land, water, or building or part thereof, except in accordance with the requirements of this chapter. To fail to obtain any inspection, approval, permit, certificate, or license required by this chapter, or to violate any conditions or requirements lawfully applied to any inspection, approval, permit, or license issued hereunder. The business Lebowski's Pup Pub is in violation of their approved site plan. The corrective action was the options for bringing the site plan into compliance are as follows. Number one, make improvements to the site as shown in the approved site plan. This includes removing the driveways along Northwest First Street, adding the FDOT approved F-curbs, constructing the sidewalks, restoring retention basin 2B, removing the asphalt strip along the Main Street frontage, moving the fence for the dog park, relocation of the disabled parking space and chevron, and adding landscaping as required by the approved site plan. The corrective action on part 2 would then submit a revision to the approved site plan. So there were two options here. Submit a revision to the approved site plan through project docs. Please note that any consideration about not constructing retention basin 2B was prior to knowing about all the other site plan violations and before the impervious area was added in the immediate vicinity of the retention basin 2B.
So there's been some paving since the site plan approval. There was some construction work?
The retention area was previously filled in before Lebowski Pet Pub came in to the property.
By the property owner?
As far as my knowledge is, yes.
Is the site plan for the pub? Is the site plan specifically, was it an application submitted by the pub?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. All documentation and revisions must be submitted through project docs. Case timeline. On 9/15 of 2022, I participated in a Teams meeting with city officials from Planning, Building, and Public Works. We discussed the business, Lebowski's Putt Pub, operating without a current certificate of occupancy and not meeting the requirements of their approved site plan. Lebowski's Putt Pub has never submitted an amended site plan for approval through project docs, as was agreed upon between City of Gainesville and Lebowski Putt Pub owners. Lebowski Putt Pub has been operating in violation since December of 2021. After the meeting, I went to the location, I reviewed the site. Discrepancies between the site plan and the property were observed and noted. On 9/16/2022, I went to the location. I spoke to Mr. Gino Schmelke. I let him know of my meeting with City of Gainesville officials and our findings concerning the site plan. I told him that I will be citing the property for the site plan violations and explain what needed to do to come into compliance. Mr. Schmelke stated that the City of Gainesville has never responded back to them when asked for direction and guidance. And at that time, I assured Mr. Schmelke that we will be glad to work with them to help them gain compliance. On 9/20, a notice of violation was sent for both parcels of property with 30 days to comply. The notice was sent certified mail, regular mail, and also posted at City Hall and on the property. Also on 9/20, I received a call that afternoon from Miss Clara Edwards regarding my site visit. She asked me to explain the reason for my visit, and I gave her a synopsis of my conversation with Mr. Schmelke, and she asked to be updated with any new information and thanked me for our willingness to help guide them through the process.
I'm sorry, who is Clara Edwards?
Excuse me?
Who is Clara Edwards?
She's here today.
Okay.
On 10/13/2022, copies of the notice of violation, site meeting notes dated February 24, 2022, and a proposed site compliance plan dated February 24, 2022 was uploaded into project docs, detailing what would be done to comply with the site plan. At this point, I'd like staff, if you would, to please pull up the overhead. I do have these. I have copies for you, sir, as well as you, Mr. Warren. I would like to present to you at this time.
Yeah, go ahead and pull those up so that we can mark them as we're going. Thank you. Okay, so this first one that you have up on the screen looks like it's a 4-page.
It's a 3-page.
I have 4 in mine.
There's two exhibits. There should be, I think, a 3-page. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry, you're correct, 4-page.
Okay. So exhibit number 1 is 4-page, meeting, starting on page 1, meeting memorandum, JMJ Consulting Engineering, and it's dated February 24th, 2022.
Correct.
Okay. It's from Joe Montalto Jr.
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to mark this as exhibit number 1. You may proceed.
And so, paying special close attention, we had February 24th of 2022 that this was sent. This was a synopsis of the meeting that happened. You can see the attendees in that meeting were 4 city officials from Public Works, Building Department, as well as Public Works engineers. And then you can see, I think Mr. Carter was a contractor. And then we had 2 development team from Lebowski's Pub and Mr. Montalto, who was their project engineer.
Right.
The summary of the meeting, the site meeting was conducted to review the City of Gainesville staff comments related to bringing the site construction into compliance with the approved construction plans or the permitted site plan. The following are the comments that were provided prior to the site meeting and discussed during the site meeting. Right-of-way work shown has not been completed. This includes curb and driveway removal and sidewalk construction. Number 2, additional impervious asphalt parking was constructed and needs to be accounted for in the stormwater design. This will require a stormwater report from an engineer for review. Page 2 of that document. Dumpster is present. This was not shown on the approved site, on the approved plans, and requires an enclosure outside of city right-of-way with access. This will require a site plan revision. ADA route did not appear compliant at the time of the site visit. The site is under the building department jurisdiction, but should be reviewed for compliance. Each of these comments were discussed at the meeting for potential resolution. The city staff, at the conclusion of the meeting, requested a narrative description of proposed site modifications to begin the site construction into compliance, or to bring the site construction into compliance, with the approved permitted construction plans to be approved.
Now, can you explain to me, please, who JMJ Consulting Engineering is and who they work for?
They would be hired by Lebowski Pub.
Okay, so they,
Correct? Mr. Montalto. Yes, I'm sorry.
he's their engineer.
Yes,
And so and this was put together and sent to the city by their engineer.
correct.
Okay.
The following issues were discussed at the meeting. Approved construction plans show 2 driveways on Northwest First Street to be closed and a type F curb to be placed at those locations. Some conditions and site requirements have changed since the business opened. The first being that the northernmost driveway needed to remain open to provide access for trucks servicing their facility. The second being the need for the dumpster as individual containers for waste disposal proved to be inadequate. The dumpster was located near end of the southernmost driveway, which is why the second driveway needed to remain open. Number 2, a 3-foot paved strip not shown on the approved plans was added to the east side of the existing parking area. Cody Carter stated that the strip was added to provide the required 16-foot parking stall depth. We measured the parking lot, large dog park area was determined. We measured the parking lot and the dog park area to determine why the construction did not match the approved plans. We discovered that the eastern fence line was constructed approximately 8 feet east of the location shown on the plans, which reduced the width of the parking area. Number 3, Matt Williams stated the dumpster could not remain at its current location and had to be removed within 3 weeks. An alternate location and enclosure will be will be required.
Do you know if that dumpster is still there?
That dumpster has been changed out. There is a dumpster there. It has been relocated to meet the requirements of the new approved site plan that was submitted. We will get to that as we get through this presentation. The ADA route shown on the plans was based on a field survey which verified the route was within the 2% maximum grade required. Gino Schmelke and Joe Ferrante said that the personnel from Public Works staff who inspected the site stated that portions of the route had grades greater than 2%, and later came back and said the route was acceptable. Prior to that second visit, the department team relocated the ADA parking space en route to the northern side of the parking area and has stated that it's now in compliance. Action required from Mr. Montalto, he said, to prepare a narrative proposal describing, he's going to prepare a narrative proposal describing how the site will be brought into compliance with the approved plans at the time and provide it to John Freeland. The last page of this exhibit is the original approved site plan.
Okay.
On this site plan, this is the retention area that was supposed to be reconstructed. So all this is 2B. This was all filled in. This was previously a car auto sales lot.
Right.
And so they had used that, I guess, for parking cars. So there were 4 retention ponds, one here, there's a small one here, another one here, and then there's another one right here. The parking area, this fence line is what was moved or installed out of 8 feet out of compliance with the original site plan. When I got to the site that day and I had this original site plan, the handicap parking spot on that plan was supposed to be here. It was in fact up here. And then these spots for parking were down this way. So they were, you pulled in, that you faced north and south on those parking spots instead of east and west. So there was a lot of things that did not match up on the original site plan.
Okay, so that's exhibit 1.
That's exhibit 1. This letter is also dated February 24, 2022.
Okay, hold on though. Now, why do they have the same date?
That I could not tell you.
Did they come to the city at the same time?
So I was not involved in this case. This stuff, these documents I pulled out of the Project Docs program.
Okay, so I can ask the respondent.
Correct.
And then so this, what we're looking at now is
A follow-up.
a two-page letter from JMJ Consulting Engineering to John Freeland, building official for the city of Gainesville, and it's dated here, February 24th, 2022. Is that correct?
Correct.
I'm going to admit this as exhibit number 2. You may proceed. Go ahead.
So this, I believe, is a follow-up from that meeting and the requirements from the city where they asked for pretty much a scope of work. And so this is from Mr. Montalto also, I believe, or his company. As discussed, and this was to John Freeland, our building official. As discussed, the following narrative is our proposal to bring Lebowski Putt Pub into compliance with the intent of the originally approved site development plan. The 3-foot paved strip created approximately 249 square feet of additional impervious area. We are proposing to remove 927 square feet in the vicinity of the proposed beer garden to offset the additional impervious area. The beer garden is where the retention area to be is where it was filled in.
Okay.
Okay. The existing 20-foot driveway is to remain open as a service drive to allow the CO2 trucks to access the facility. The existing 40-foot driveway apron will be removed and replaced with a type F curb and associated sidewalk repair as shown in the original site plan. The dumpster will be removed from its current location on the site within 3 weeks, and a mobile dumpster with an enclosure will be located to an area adjacent to container 1, as shown on the attached site plan markup. City staff will advise the development team as to the acceptability of the relocated ADA parking space and route at its new location, or it will need to be relocated to the place shown on the approved construction plans. The owners are requesting 1 year from the acceptance of these proposed site modifications to accomplish number 1 and 2 due to the limited funding available for their startup business.
What was the response of the city related to the request for 1 year?
Is John Freeland? John, could you answer to that?
Hey, good morning, Mr. Freeland. Were you previously sworn?
I was not.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And please state your name for the record.
John Freeland, city building official.
All right.
So we received the letter, we took a look at it. Essentially what had happened in the timeline up to this, we did the inspections on the buildings and that sort of stuff. The building scopes were fairly small, container and some other things that were building related. We got to the point where we issued the business owners a stock and train.
Can you say that again?
A stock and train, which is to allow the business to prepare for opening,
Right.
to stock goods, to train staff,
Okay.
but still with the kind of caveat that the business is not to be operating open to the public, that sort of thing. Obviously, we want the site improvements to be done before that time. And we never heard anything further back. We issued the stock and train, and they opened up with the site out of compliance. As a response to this second go-around, we engaged Public Works to try and work something out. By the building code, I'm granted some administrative authority to extend a permit up to 90 days. In this case, the permit had long been expired, even up to that point. So we did engage and we have been in communication with the business operators and owners continuously to try and resolve it. I did not prepare a formal response to a preparation for a year because it probably would be outside the scope of legality to grant that on a permit that had already been left expired in a business that was already fully operating.
Yeah, it drew my
Out of
attention to
compliance.
it. It would be unusual to have that long.
And we certainly are want to do everything we can for a small business, a startup. It's obviously not a franchise and that sort of thing. So we work closely with staff. We counted as many as, I want to say 9 different individual site visits and interactions with the business operators who have been in communication with us, but we just haven't gotten to a resolution as of yet.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so does that address all the issues on exhibit number 2?
On those 2 exhibits, yes, sir.
Okay, and then that leaves us with some color printed drawings that are, what, 11 by?
Yes, sir, and they will come
20.
in just a little bit further into the presentation.
Okay, go ahead.
On 10/14/2022, an extension of time the notice of violation was granted by Forrest Edelton. New compliance date was set at November 10th, 2022. Mr. Edelton advised in the email that Ms. Edwards have Joe Montalto upload revised site plans prior to the November 10th deadline. He also attached correspondence from the Public Works Development Review Engineer giving guidance as to what is needed for the revisions. Mr. Edelton also stated in the email that he CC'd Miranda Searing, Development Review Coordinator, should Ms. Edwards' team need guidance on using Project Docs system. Mr. Edelton continued, and quote, once the staff review of the revisions begins, we can extend the deadline again if need be, end quote. On January 6th of 2023, I called and spoke to Miss Clara Edwards and let her know that progress toward compliance seems to be at a standstill. It appears in reading the notes and project docs and speaking to Mr. John Freeland, our building official, that the plans submitted need revisions, and the contractor has not resubmitted. Ms. Edwards responded, "We'll check and get back with me." On January 31st of 2023, Ms. Edwards sent an email to Gail Mowry, who is one of our public works engineers, stating, "The last update I can see on my end from Project Docs is from 2020. There must be another document uploaded that I'm not able to access." Ms. Mowry confirmed that the last document uploaded was actually October 2022.
Wait, I'm confused by that. Okay, so was there something on Project Doc submitted by the applicant as of October of 2022 or not?
There was
Okay.
on 2022.
So why, okay, so I'm not sure why that other fact is in.
So I'm not sure.
It was just some type of technical problem?
It could be, and
Okay,
Our contractor uploaded it, I was not able to see it, maybe with my access level to Project Docs.
understood. Go ahead,
okay.
sorry.
On February 12th, 2023, revised plans and detailed drawings were submitted through Project Docs. Paul Myers, or one of our plans, he's our chief plans examiner, he approved the plans on February 14th. The revised plan includes reconfigured retention basin 2B, closing Northwest First Street South driveway apron and constructing the F curb, relocating the handicap parking, restriping the parking spaces, and constructing the dumpster enclosure. And staff, can we do the overhead one more time, please?
Can I also mention something? We did have a.
Wait, no, not yet. Gotta get you on the record and get you identified and all that stuff. So now we are looking at this site plan dash, I see in the top left-hand corner, site plan dash proposed .pdf V2.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay, so this is the new revised approved site plan that is now,
and how was it approved and who approved it?
it was approved through our building department, Paul Myers. As you can tell up here, we have the City of Gainesville approval stamp.
So in effect, the applicant has gone back, reviewed, met with the city, and submitted this as a revised site plan.
Correct.
And this has been approved.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're really talking about the implementation of this.
Of this new plan, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so on this,
But before we
Yes, sir.
go further, I have this as 2 pages.
Yes.
I still have an 8.5 by 11 sheet. I'm gonna put that to the side.
Yes.
So I've got 2 pages, and this is going to be Exhibit 3.
yes,
I'm gonna accept this as Exhibit 3,
thank you, sir.
okay?
Okay, on this new site plan, this retention area 2B has been revised, it's reconfigured now.
But now there's no construction on it, though.
There is none at this time.
Okay, I understand.
So we still have, this is the beer patio garden area at this time. There should be this retention area to the west of the beer garden. Also on this site plan, it shows that the 40-foot driveway apron is closed. And it shows the 20-foot apron as being remaining open. So the F curb would be to go along with this closure of the 40-foot driveway apron.
Okay?
Okay. Out in the parking area, we now have the approved handicap parking spaces back where it belongs, which is down on Main Street side or frontage. And it shows the parking areas here as east and west instead of north and south.
But none of this has been done.
Some of it has, yes. And
Has it been done since the approval?
Yes,
Or
sir.
was this the situation, or the status of the site?
So what has been done has occurred actually since around the 30th of last month.
Okay. Okay.
Okay? Can we return to the PowerPoint now, please?
Yes. Oh, I see.
On 3/22/2023, I went to the location and I found violations still exist. The dumpster had been relocated to the proper location, but is not within a required enclosure. The retention area has not been reclaimed. The curb along Northwest First Street has not been constructed, and the handicap parking has not been relocated to match the revised site plan. At that time, I processed this case for special magistrate hearing. On 3/30/2023, I went to the location to update pictures. While there, an employee spoke to me, and he called Miss Edwards. Miss Edwards came to the location and met with me. I had Matt Williams from our Public Works Department, who was previously working on this case. He also came and met. The site plan violations were discussed in detail as Miss Edwards made notes on her computer. When the meeting concluded, Miss Edwards thanked us for the time and expressed that the violations would be brought into compliance. So on 3/30/2023, the day of our meeting with Miss Edwards, I took these photographs. So as you can tell, the curb bumpers, this is Main Street. You're looking north. The parking spaces were still in the north-south configure. And then another photo of that same area shows where these parking spaces from the previous approved site plan before it got moved were facing east and west, but as you can see that the striping has been taken up. This is from that same location looking south, and what you're looking at here is they actually moved this in my presence. It was the handicap parking sign, and notice it's in a bucket. That doesn't quite meet the requirements at that time, but they did move it right then.
Okay.
Another angle on that, and you can see here where the striping for the handicap chevron had been previously removed. And so this would have been this was the original handicap space at the beginning that got relocated to the north. Another angle just showing the chevron. This is inside the warehouse, which was all part of the site plan. In the site plan, it stated that the warehouse was to be used only for the storage of supplies for the business. And at the time, they had vehicles that were being worked on, not allowed under the zoning for that. This is the dumpster on 330. It is not in an enclosure. It is sitting in the right location at the time. It's just not enclosed. And this is an area, this is where the retention pond area is supposed to be. And it's part of the beer garden. As you can tell, it is filled in with rock and concrete, I think, under that maybe.
Was it ever a stormwater basin?
It was at one time. That's why this all came to light.
So the car dealership likely filled it in and,
That's more than likely what's happened.
okay.
On 3/30/2023, this picture I took, and this is just another shot showing the dumpster and the retention area again. And then I took this picture on 4/7. So they have started making their way toward compliance. As you can see now, the chevron here has been repainted. The handicap parking spots have been relocated and painted. The sign is no longer in a bucket, it's permanently mounted. This is the north parking lot. The parking areas have been put back in an east-west configuration, and the striping has been removed from the north-south. They still need to move the bumpers, but it is a work in progress. And that shows in the warehouse where the car and parts have been removed. They are in the process of cleaning out the warehouse. And this was an attempt at, when Miss Edwards met with us the last meeting, she asked if she could use pallets to construct. She had some painted pallets that were a project and wanted to know if they could be used to construct a dumpster enclosure. I didn't see anything in the ordinance that said that it couldn't. Unfortunately, these were just stacked up and leaning against the fence and not really constructed. But it would, she was trying to hide the dumpster at that point. And this is a timeline from the building department's standpoint. And at this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Freeland to come up and narrate the timeline for you.
I'm going to mark the timeline as exhibit number 4.
The timeline was just created from our public records, and we have switched systems between then, went to the automated, our all-digital platform. So this is what we pulled up, and basically it shows when the permit was applied for, issued, done. Building-wise, we did building finals, life safety finals, all of that sort of thing, and issued a stock and train. We just haven't gotten anywhere with correcting the site plan and the revisions that were shown on the site plan. Long and short of it is we went into, met with their project engineer, developed a plan to be able to move forward to bring the site into compliance. The second submittal is a little bit easier, more cut down, smaller, retention area and some other things to try and make it a little bit easier to come into compliance. We just haven't gotten anywhere with it since then.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Anything else from the city of Gainesville?
I think
The recommendations?
my recommendations will be
Let me see
next.
those.
Staff recommendations, adjudication of guilt, assess administrative costs of $315.30 plus all other costs accrued. Allow 30 days to bring violations into compliance, and if compliance is not achieved, assess a fine of $200 a day.
And bringing the violations into compliance, what that would entail is meeting the revisions associated with Exhibit 3.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, understand. Thank you.
And
And I
I'd
hear
like
from
to
the,
present my PowerPoint and evidence.
the PowerPoint is admitted as Exhibit number 1. No, and now it'll be Exhibit number 5. That'll now be admitted as Exhibit number 5. May I hear from the respondent, please?
Morning, Your Honor. Robert Warren, representing Gainesville Gator Tobacco. Gainesville Gator Tobacco is not opposed to the approved site plan. There has been some sort of missteps and miscommunications between Gainesville Gator Tobacco, who is the owner, and the lessee, Lebowski's Pub. And I think that's been responsible.
Who's been leading the engineer, the paying the fees and guiding that kind of?
The lessee, and I'm going to
Okay.
ask them to speak to, the efforts they've made.
Right.
And so they have taken the lead, and we're appreciative of that. But I've recently met with the principal in Gainesville Gator Tobacco about sharing some of this burden between the lessor
So
owner.
you're here for the property owner and not for the lessee?
That is correct,
Okay.
yes.
And it's the property owner that's the subject of this?
That is correct, yes, yes. The tenant, lessee Lebowski's Pub has been taking the lead on coming into compliance because these issues arose after they took possession of the property. But as I say, the owner, Gainesville Gator, is ready to step in and share some of this burden. And with that consideration, I believe we can get this done in 90 days is what we're going to ask for. One of the permits, I understand, has already been pulled, but I believe there will be additional permits. There's excavation to be done. There's new construction to be done. And we would ask that we be given 90 days to just get it done and get this closed out.
Do you know if there are contractors and so forth that are lined up and ready to start performance of the work?
There are. Ms. Edwards can speak to that more directly because she has taken the lead on actually coordinating the work to be done.
Okay. It would be unusual to grant 90 days. But let me hear from them and.
Yeah, I would just ask the court to note that this was not, the most recent revisions were not approved until, what was it, just a little over a month ago, 6 weeks or so ago.
Well, I understand, but there's also, a year's history here as well of noncompliance. And I don't get the sense, I understand this, look, first of all, let me just say, I think we're all kind of a fan. I think what you've done there is really a great idea. And I think it's a nice contribution to the area. I think it works from at least outside looking in, because I go by there all the time. It looks really cute. But there's a long history of noncompliance, and I think the communications, at least that I see, are clear enough that, hey, you guys got to get this done. You got to do something, and then there's this long delay in response. And it's difficult for somebody without experience to navigate this city's process. But at the same time, this is not a really, it's not like big buildings. It's not, some kind of complex. It's a pretty small lot. And so between the owner that you're representing and the tenant, it just seems like to me that there should have been a little more diligence on their part to try and keep things moving forward. And so I have some ideas. Do you have anything else, Mr. Warren?
Well, not just in terms of the timeline. I got involved in this about a year ago. when I believe a violation notice or hearing was set at that time. And I stepped in and I spoke to Joe Montalto, the consulting engineer on the project. And he was puzzled at why basically a year had gone by and they had not had a response from the city. Well, after numerous phone calls trying to figure out what had happened, because he said he had uploaded or sent over a site plan, he had had this meeting, it was very agreeable, it seemed like everything was going forward, but he never had a response. So I believe I called Mr. Ward and other officials in the city, finally tracked it down and figured out that the reason they had never responded was because Mr. Montalto had not uploaded the documents, the proposal, through the DocX system or whatever it is, which I don't know if he had just neglected or didn't understand that that was necessary in order to get a response. So I had him do that, and then it started moving things forward again. So that is in part what part of this delay was about, was just sort of a miscommunication between the city and the project engineer. He was sitting there, I think had probably forgotten about it, but, was thinking that the ball was on the other side of the court and just waiting for a response.
Okay.
So, and, I'll allow Ms. Edwards. if
Anything
she
else?
Wants to, no, nothing else.
Okay. So you can come forward, and you are Miss Edwards?
Yes, Clara
Let me get you to
Edwards.
state your name for the record.
Clara Edwards.
And let me get you to state,
Gino Schmelke.
okay. Hold on. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
You may proceed.
Okay. So first, I would like to thank Rick. He's been working very closely with me, and we've become good friends by this point.
Good friend to have. Good friend to have.
Yeah. To address what Mr. Warren was just saying is that there were so many moving parts in so many different departments from the city, and then our engineer. And then at Lebowski's, there are 5 of us as owners. So I think that some of these messages might have been lost in the translation, which is why we had that extended time frame. To his point of we thought Montalto had uploaded. We thought we were waiting on a response from the city. So we would have been more compliant. And I think after I've taken somewhat of sole ownership of this project now with Rick Ward, we're moving quickly, and we have a punch list of things we are already working on to attempt to show compliance.
Okay. Yeah, my view on this is that I'm familiar with the process, and I suspect that communications, maybe some inexperience played a role here.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, I don't know that there's that much ambiguity in what's being required, and so to open up and proceed. And to allow that, and then get into this, and then have the delays, and it just requires. And I've just had this conversation sitting on the front porch of my office yesterday with a client. He's a contractor, talking about the city and the process, and how complex it can be. And these guys are here to help, but at the same time, it remains the applicant's responsibility to push these things through so that they comply. And we've got a non-compliance issue, and it's kind of dragging on. And so part of my job is to make sure that people do comply and incentivize compliance. Okay, so did you have something you want to say, sir?
Yes, sir. When we met that time in, I think it was February 2022, it's because we had emailed everybody and weren't getting responses back. We asked for everybody to meet together in person, and we were able to come up with some ideas, but some ideas were conflicting with one another. The retention pond being there with that 50-foot, I think the way they wanted it before was 15 feet wide, 50 feet long against the fence. They also wanted us to have the dumpster there. So I was like, well, that rollaway dumpster, do I roll the dumpster in the ditch, out the ditch? What do I do? Yeah. Some of the things were conflicting, and that's why we asked them to give us better leeway, what are the dimensions you like? What would you want? The F curb, I'm sorry, I got into an accident 2 days ago, so everything hurts. But the F curb, we were having the garbage can on that side, I guess that'd be the south side, basically across the fence of where Friends of the Library's dumpster was. So they said that the dumpster can't hop the curb sets where the ramp was there. So they were gonna say, well, maybe you might be able to keep it, not keep it. And I was like, well, how many feet? Do I go 23 feet? Do I go 20 feet, 10 feet? We didn't have an answer, then we'd come back to you. As far as the handicap spot, we had it the way it is now, like the way it is painted now. Someone came and told us to repaint it. Didn't get put in papers and put in docs, so they were like, this isn't level, this isn't anything. Refix it, we came up with the idea to put it there. She said, okay, we did it the next day. And then when we had the meeting, they were like, why'd you change it? So I think it's just communication.
Well, okay.
And that person wasn't actually,
During one of the inspections, the sloping was above the 2% grade, so they asked us to move it. Obviously now we have moved it back to where it originally was set in the site plan, so that was just an
she
example of
measured
another
it with the
hiccup.
tool, and I guess didn't measure it correctly, and it was 2%, or under the 2%.
Above the
Right.
2.
So that's why we were allowed to move it back.
Right, well,
So we painted the parking lot 3 times now, or twice now.
okay, so I understand that there are complexities, and being a local business owner has its challenges.
It does.
And like I said, I mean, I'm a fan, and I think that it's a really nice contribution to the area. But the non-compliance, really, most of all, this signals to me when I have the building official and code enforcement here is that there's they're requesting and presenting a case and evidence against you of non-compliance. And I think that it does show a record of non-compliance. So do you want to say anything else? Are you ready for me to rule on this?
I have a few points I'd like to make, the 6 items that were needed. So the first is the retention pond. The city has worked with us to get the same cubic metric feet, but in a different location, as Rick mentioned, to allow for the CO2 trucks to come in. I will just like to state that that retention pond was covered and has been covered. We pulled some aerial footage from the St. John's Water Management District for about 20 years. And that was not picked up by the city, which is fine. I understand when you do a permit and we're pulling new plans that things literally become unearthed. So I would just like to understand better, where that falls. Would it be Gator Tobacco and or, Lebowski's? And I think that's a conversation we're going to have with Rick after this. The next issue, sorry. So the dumpster we have moved. We will get different enclosure. We've spoken to the liquor companies who are actually going to do it. So we're compliant with that. Or we will be, compliant with that need. The handicap sign, as we mentioned, is now in the ground and completed. Grass at the front of the parking lot was originally stated, and we have worked with Rick to make sure that that is compliant. The driveway aprons and the F-curb also were adjusted without a permit being pulled by the property owner. So that is something, again, we're going to discuss who is responsible for that. On that note, and I think where the 90-day request is coming from, we have asked contractors to already pull a permit, and we already have bids for the retention pond. If we could somewhat appear or remain compliant, but have a bit of an extension to get the work done, have all the bids done, and have the contractor lined up, I'm just a bit nervous within 30 days, we might not have enough time for the work to be completed by the contractor just due to their schedules. And then the final was the storage room, which we have already cleaned.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay.
Just have one more.
Sure.
I understand that the city has recommended 30 days, but I've spoken with Rick Ward about this, who obviously has a well-focused understanding of what needs to be done. And my understanding of his position is that he's recommending 30 days, but would not oppose 90 days.
Can I have the city's position on the time schedule? Well, what I would typically do, let me hear, what's the city's position on the time schedule?
So we do ask for 30 days. When I spoke to Mr. Warren, I'm not opposed to an extension of that, extending that a little bit further. I believe that if they don't comply, they can always come back and ask for a reduction, rescission of fine once compliance is achieved. Just conferred with our building official, Mr. Freeland, and he said that he would be, he'd feel more comfortable with the 60-day time frame.
60 days. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
What I would say is whether, if you need additional time, there's two things that can occur. You can come forward and you can ask for additional time, get on the agenda by talking to Officer Ward, and come and request an extension. Or what is more commonly done is that the fines start to accrue. You maintain, in effect, a diary of the efforts that you've gone through to effectuate compliance. And then you bring that to me and you seek a reduction and rescission of the fines. So you can get on the agenda very easily for that. And so I will probably follow along with Mr. Freeland. So 60 days. You go to 70 or 80 days, your fines are going to accrue. But as long as you're moving forward, talking to people on the phone, making efforts, getting contractors lined up, scheduling things, and doing so in an expeditious manner with full effort, then you come to me and you say, hey, we couldn't meet 60 days, but we did meet 72 days, and this is what was going on. And I will tell you that we're typically, once compliance is achieved, we're very grateful for that. And we will definitely take that into consideration. The point is, we will take your efforts into consideration in evaluating what the appropriate penalty is. Okay? So, with that stated, I'm going to adjudicate the respondent guilty. I'm going to assess administrative costs of $315.30 plus all other costs accrued. I'm going to allow 60 days to bring the violations into compliance. And if compliance is not achieved, I'm going to assess a fine of I'm not sure I understand why $200 is necessary. Does anybody from the city want to speak to that? I would think that $50 a day would be plenty of incentive based on
The $200 a day was discussed between myself and our codes enforcement manager, Pete Backhouse. Because of the amount of time that this case has been going on since 2021, is Mr. Backhouse thought it was, he thought the $200 was a good number to throw out there on this. And I forgive me for my terminology here, but we felt comfortable with that. We didn't want to go any higher.
Yeah, that's high in my book for this type of violation. And right now, I mean, it's just being brought to my attention for the first time, so, there's evidently delays on both sides, at least a little bit. I'm more comfortable in assessing a fine of $50 a day, and that'll be my rule.
And I have no problem with your assessment of that.
Okay. Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's we gotta incentivize it, and if you don't do it, there's a measure of this with the attorneys involved and with your goodwill that you're going to meet the schedule and do everything you can to get it done in the 60 days. But I'm confident that it's going to get done, and that's one of the reasons why I dropped that fine. Okay, so good luck. Thank you. The third one, this is Special Magistrate number 2022-126, City of Gainesville versus Gary Kendrick. You may proceed.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am playing Pete Backhouse today, so my name is Nicole Lardner. I will be presenting case 2022-126 regarding the property at 103 Northeast 18th Street.
And you were previously sworn, right?
Yes. The parcel number
Thank you,
is 11207-000-000. The Property owner is Gary Kendrick. Property zoning is RL. Ownership was established by researching official records and documents. The property is located just a little bit north of University Avenue in the, do you know the name of the neighborhood that it's in? Is it part of Duval?
I know where you're at.
Okay, there you go. Summary of this case. On October 17th of 2022, Officer Kevin Hall conducted an inspection of the property, found that there was trash in the yard and people living in the garage that was on the lot. A notice of violation was issued for accumulation of rubbish. The corrective action was to remove any debris from the property and to maintain it on a regular basis. As the violation was not corrected, the case was heard before you on December 8th of 2022, and a guilty verdict was obtained. The violation was to be corrected by December 31st of 22, or a fine of $25 per day would be assessed, in addition to the administrative cost of $160.96. The property was placed into compliance on February 20th of 2023. The total fines had accumulated to $24.50 plus the assessed cost, which have been paid. On March 13th of 2023, Manager Backhouse and Acting Director Forrest Edelton met with Mr. Kendrick. He advised he had never received the notification of his violation. This was due to the address of record not correlating to his current address on the property appraiser. He has had some health issues over the past several years, which has kind of changed his plans to develop the property into what he had originally wanted to do. Mr. Kendrick arranged for someone to maintain the property and has worked with the Gainesville Police Department to obtain a trespass authorization. He also spent approximately $2,000 to have the property cleaned and brought into compliance. With these factors in mind, he has requested a total rescission of the fines. This picture was taken by Officer Hall on October 14th of 2022. The building was still kind of open and anyone could kind of come in and out of it. This was a photo from January 5th of 2023 taken by Officer Hall, and I believe this is when the fines start accruing. This was a photo taken by myself yesterday to show that all of the rubbish has been removed and the building has been sealed up so no one can trespass. He's also posted the property. Due to the amount of effort Mr. Kendrick has placed into getting everything into compliance, the city recommends that we rescind the fines that have accumulated entirely.
Okay. It looked like to me, too, that it wasn't a real long period of time.
No, as soon as he was aware that this violation had come forward, he was very responsive to having those issues fixed.
Okay. All right, Mr. Kendrick, then based on the testimony of Officer Lardner, I'm going to order that the fines on this property be rescinded in total. So you're good to go. Thank you.
May I admit my presentation as Exhibit 1, please?
Exhibit 1 is admitted to the record. And then let's see. There we go. Next case, Special Magistrate number 2022-127, East Side 1221 LLC.
Okay.
And is this you?
This
again?
is me again.
Star of the
This
show.
case is 2022-127. It'll be your turn just a second, sir. Yes, sir. The address is 1221 East University Avenue, presented by me, Nicole Lardner. Property information, parcel number is 11560-000-000. Owner is Jamal Sher. Property zoning is UMU, and ownership was established by official records and documents. This location is directly to the east of Waldo Road and Southeast 11th Street, and it's on University Avenue on the south side of the roadway.
Okay.
On October 27th of 2022, Officer Rick Ward conducted an inspection of the property and found numerous feather flags and illegal signs. A notice of violation was issued for prohibited signs, and the corrective action was to remove all illegal signage from the business. As the violation was not corrected, the case was heard by you on December 8th of 2022, and a guilty verdict was obtained. The violation was to be corrected by December 26th of 2022, or a fine of $50 per day would be assessed, in addition to the administrative cost of $178.69. The property was placed in compliance on January 6th of 2023, and the fines had accumulated to $500 plus the assessed costs. So I guess it was out of compliance for 10 days post.
Okay.
Those costs have since been paid. On March 29th of 2023, Manager Backhouse and Acting Director Forrest Edelton met with Mr. Shayer and the owner of the business, who advised that he had never received notification of the violation. As you know, it's our standard practice to send it to whatever is on the property appraiser's website. Mr. Shayer stated he was not aware that the business had remained out of compliance, and the business owner advised that he had removed the signs as was required by Officer Ward. Code enforcement was not notified of any signage being removed, and Officer Ward found the violation had been corrected by his site inspection on January 6th. Mr. Shayer requests a total rescission of the fines based on these factors. This is a photo that was taken by Officer Ward on October 28th of 2022 from across the street. Here's some more examples of the feather flags that were up.
This was the car wash, right?
Yes. This is a photo that I took yesterday on 4/12/23 to show that they are still in compliance at this time with the signage. Due to there being no documentation of the violation coming into compliance by the requested date and the amount of time that the business remained out of compliance, the city does not recommend a reduction or a rescission of the fines at this time.
So if I have my recollections clear, there's an operator there. He's running a car wash business. He has those flags. We told him those are not proper. He left them in place.
Correct. I believe there are also folks here to speak to the business and the property ownership.
Okay,
But yes, that is the long
then
and
they
short.
came down 10 days later after we ordered them to come.
Correct. So once the,
And they haven't gone back up.
they have not. But it is the property owner and business owner's responsibility to notify the city when compliance is achieved and request a reinspection.
And was it asserted to the city that
Not
they
during
had
that,
timely come down?
not
or-
during the 10-day time frame that they were out of compliance.
No, but my question is do they assert that the flags had come down timely?
That is what they said, but they have not provided any proof of that.
No photographs and so forth?
Correct.
Okay.
So it was Mr. Backhouse and Mr. Edelton's opinion that there wasn't any reason to provide the reduction.
And what's the amount of the fines accumulated?
$500.
Okay.
And I would also like to admit my exhibit, please.
Exhibit 1 is admitted to the record. May I hear from the respondent, please?
Good morning.
Let me each get you to state your names for the record
Jamal Chair. I'm the
and
owner.
your name. Young?
Yes.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Then you may proceed.
Well, I was not aware of the fact that we have to notify the city of whenever we comply with the violations or remove the flags. I thought that's their job to come and check on that. That's the only reason, we did not notify them. I didn't know that's the procedure. On the other hand, I was in touch with Officer Ward, and he told me that the property is in compliance, and I personally went there and I saw that it was in compliance, and I was not aware of that 10-day. And for me to, even if it's like a situation where we have to respond to the city or notify the city or the code enforcement that we have complied or removed the flags, I'd like to see if they have any pictures of anything that during this time the flags were up still. And I have no proof or, or any way to know that 10-day period is, that was out of.
Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, when I came here to court that day, I told you myself I was going to take them down the same day. and in which so I did, in which so I called the signs department, and they came out and seen that my signs were not up. So you could definitely call the signs department, and they'll definitely tell you that, because that's on note. That's definitely on their notes. That I specifically told you guys in the signs department that I was going to take them down the same day after I left the courtroom. And that's on notes. That's on notes.
Did you call anyone?
I called the signs department.
But you don't have any notes or who you spoke to there?
It's probably on my phone, most likely, but I think his name was I want to say like Alex. I believe his name was like Alex. He literally came out to the apartment.
But your testimony here to me today is that you took the signs that
Same
you
day.
came to the meeting. I remember you.
Yes, sir.
You probably remember me.
I do, trust me.
And you went back and you took the signs down and you never put them back up.
Yes, sir. Same day. Even the sign department dude told me not to put them up for 14 days. So I'm trying to figure out how did they come up to be 10 days.
Are you still operating there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How are you attracting the cars to wash and so?
Officer Ward gave me the opportunity to have 4 of the
Yard
signs,
sign.
and that's all I place. I usually use like 2 or 3.
But now you got more of a reputation, right? So you got regular customers and so
Oh
on?
yeah, yes sir, yes sir.
Yeah.
Yes sir.
Okay, based on the testimony that the flags were removed that day, I'm going to rescind the fines to 0.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
Y'all understand the procedures, though?
Yes, sir.
Pay
Yes,
attention
sir.
when,
Yes,
you're
sir.
dealing with the government,
I got you.
Yes, sir.
okay?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Y'all have a nice day.
Okay, next case, Special Magistrate number 2023-005, 105 UF Trust LLC. That case has been dismissed. Next case is Special Magistrate number 2023-006, City of Gainesville versus John Holloway. That case has been dismissed. Based on that, is there anything else to come before the magistrate this morning?
Yes, sir. If you wouldn't mind, I'd like to introduce 2 of our newest employees. We have Code Enforcement Officer Ari Rabinovich and Field Collector Jeffrey McClintock. So we are thrilled to have them on board, and you will probably see some presentations from them in your
All
near
right.
future.
Good luck. It looks like an interesting job you got. Based on that, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.